coming to get you, Barbara.
I am Dracula.
Red rum! Red rum!
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Dinosaur ain't no dinosaur. This is Darnish Horror Month.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I really thought I was going to die my whole life.
Hello, and welcome to Film Church Radio, the podcast that treats cinema as a religion. It's Sunday. I'm Brandon.
I'm Lewis.
And we're here to talk about movies. Each week, Lewis and I alternate picking a film for both of us to watch and discuss. And this week, I picked a film from this year, Beau is Afraid, directed by Ari Aster and starring Joaquin Phoenix. Of course, it's October, so we're continuing our Darnish Horror Month, where we've been just watching horror movies, horror classics, whatever horror films we've been wanting to watch. Only one more left after this. I decided to pick Beau is Afraid because Ari Aster is awesome. Of course, the director of Hereditary and Midsummer. And then this film came out earlier this year. I was going to pick the A24 film Lamb, but I decided to pick this one because my cousin Seth was... He was a fan of both. He was saying I should watch both. But I was like, which one's better, though? And he said Beau is Afraid. So I'm glad I picked it. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. Stay tuned for that. But first, we want to thank everybody who has been listening to the show and sharing their love. Please share it with your friends. You can tell them to go to filmchurchradio.com and find whatever podcast platform they want to listen to. Next week is episode 100.
Whoa.
That's kind of crazy. Did you ever think we would get here?
Yeah. I'm positive.
Just not so soon.
Yeah. It did seem a long way away when we were sitting in that cafe downtown.
Yeah.
Plano, talking about it.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate y'all. Before we discuss the film, we're going to talk about other movies we've been watching this week. This is our hymn section, kind of like hymns before the sermon or trailers before the feature. Whatever way you like your film church. Whichever is more important to you, the film or the church. So excuse me, Lewis.
Yeah.
What's up, my dude?
What's up, my dude?
What you been watching?
I've been watching more horror films because this is the month. And I think we talked about it last week. I don't feel like I watch a lot of horror outside of October. Like, I'm not a big, watch everything that comes out of this horror film, I guess. Yeah. So I use this time to really kind of comb back through and watch anything that I've missed or anything that I've really enjoyed that I wanted to go back and watch again. So the first thing I watched is called Dead of Night from 1945. An anthology film, very similar to like Creepshow that we did last year.
Okay.
But from England. And part of it is directed by Basil Dearden, who I've watched quite a few of his films in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Talked heavily by Edgar Wright and Tarantino when they did their like British director chat.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And this is, go ahead.
I was just going to say that was like a list that Martin Scorsese had given them, right?
That's right. Yeah, so they were taking it off and Basil did and kind of showed up again and again and again.
Yeah.
Which was cool. So he directs part of this. And it's infamous really for like the last segment, which is about a ventriloquist and his dummy. And everyone thinks he's crazy, but is he? Is the ventriloquist dummy actually alive and talking to him? I don't know. Which is really cool. But the other ones are really good too. This bit like it's one of those where it's more of people telling stories that are like really unsettling, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a girl that plays hide and seek and then comes across a little boy and they're like, he's been dead for 100 years, you know. It's that kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, like ghost stories by night kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like an hour and a half. It's really fun. There's like, you know, with anthologies, the good thing is it keeps moving. You know, as soon as that story's over, it's like onto another one, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a really cool like framing device. So to keep all these in line and kind of continuous, it makes sense. So that was really fun. And I can remember watching it when I was at university. I can't remember much about it then. So I wanted to go back and watch it again, and I gave it 4 out of 5. I think it's really good. It's like a good film to show, like probably like on Halloween night, because it's just like creepy stories, you know.
Yeah.
It's not kind of everyone being murdered slasher
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's like a fun sitting around the campfire.
Yeah.
telling ghost
Horror
stories.
comes in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched The Fog, which again we talked about last year. And yeah, I wanted to go back and watch it. I think that I enjoyed it more than you when we watched it the first time.
Yeah.
And I watched Christine from John Carpenter the last week.
Yeah.
So it just kind of rekindled this like, oh yeah, I want to go back and watch that again. I bumped it up. I put it up to 4.5 stars now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
I just love it, dude.
Yeah.
I just think it's like just a really cool, atmospheric, like small horror, you know, thing. I really like the background to it and the Christian element and all that kind of stuff. That's really cool. It just looks great.
Yeah.
You know, when the fog's rolling and stuff, it just looks awesome.
And Jamie Lee Curtis and Jamie Lee, or not
Janet, yeah.
Janet Lee, yeah.
Yeah.
Janet Lee and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. On screen together for maybe like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. And I think that now that I'm into Carpenter's kind of filmmaking and the fun aspects to it, I'm just like, all his films just are like thumbs up from me. You know, I'm just like enjoying them all. I'm not looking at them too much. And yeah. So, I mean, that was originally, I think it was 3.5. So I bumped up a whole star, which is great.
Yeah.
I love doing that. It's something that I think I'm going to revisit quite often. So
nice. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And that was pretty much it.
Cool.
Bits and bobs. What about you? What have you been watching?
I haven't been watching a ton of horror movies. I have a couple in here, but yeah, I watched a few things. One was Damsels in Distress from 2011. It's got Greta Gerwig in it. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't. I've heard. I think it's one of the ones that has passed me by.
Yeah,
From
it's
Gerwig.
pretty good. It the first half of it I really enjoyed a lot, and then the rest of it I was just like felt like it dragged on a little bit. But,
Yeah.
it's a fun watch. It's like about this group of girls who kind of run like a suicide prevention thing at a university.
Yeah.
But it's all very gossipy and like, I don't know. It feels almost like you're watching something like Pride and Prejudice set in modern times. The way that the dialogue is and stuff, or like the way that people just are like gossiping about and talking about other people all the time. But it has a lot of people you would recognize, like people who are huge now, you know, they were just kind of still on their way up in 2011.
Yeah.
You know, like Greta Gerwig. Who else is in it? It's got why am I blanking on her name? April from Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Yeah. Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza. Anyway, just, you know, lots of like people like that you're like, oh, this person is in it. Oh, this person. Anyway, so it's a lot of fun. And then I finally watched Trainwreck.
Yeah.
Bill Hader and Amy
In
what's her
preparation
face.
for today. with Bill Hader.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, Bill Hader and Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
Amy Schumer wrote it. Judd Apatow directed it, and my girlfriend Sarah had been telling me it was good for a while. And I mean,
Yeah.
I always liked Judd Apatow, so I figured it was good. But finally got around to watching it, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's like this. As I was watching it, I was like almost kind of resistant to it a little bit because, and I don't know if my thoughts on Amy Schumer are my own. Like, it's like, do I think she's terrible, or have I just been told she's terrible by everyone, and so I'm automatically leaning that way?
I think that it's just, I mean, for me, it was a bit that got old really fast. Like, I really enjoyed like her TV show, the Inside Amy Schumer stuff. That was really funny.
Yeah.
And then I liked this a lot. And then the next film, I Feel Pretty, is an abomination.
Nah. Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I think that as a culture, we probably grew out of the, like, I'm ugly, but I like sex.
Yeah, for sure.
Thing that was just like, what?
But also,
Why
she's
are we laughing
not
at this?
ugly.
No, exactly.
And she's
No, exactly.
not heavy.
No.
It's just kind of silly.
Yeah.
So it's like
Very silly.
You know. Yeah, and I guess, like, you know, I mean, part of that is society, I guess, and her leaning into how society sees her. But I'm just like, I don't know. I don't need, like, I don't.
Yeah.
I guess I want to see her be empowered and not self-deprecating. You know, because it's like, if she thinks that she's chubby and ugly, then other people must agree with her.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of silly. But the movie's really good, you know, and she doesn't seem to be around a ton anymore.
No.
Not mainstream. I mean, I'm sure she's still doing a lot of stand-up, but
yeah.
Anyway, Judd Apatow.
Yeah. I remember liking it a lot when it came out.
Yeah.
Hoping that it would, like, usher in a new X-rated comedy era. But it's nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah. And, I mean, Bill Hader has skyrocketed since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still on his way up.
Yeah, dude.
That boy's going places.
He's the best.
I rewatched Gone Girl. 5 out of 5, dude. God, that movie is so good. So good.
Can't wait for Fincher's next film.
Yeah. What is it?
Coming out soon. The Killer, it's called, with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
It's doing the festival circuit at the moment, so
that's right.
Hopefully in time for Oscars, baby.
And then I also rewatched The Accountant with Ben Affleck. Sarah hadn't seen it, and I figured she would enjoy it. It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I forgot about the twist at the end, which is a little, I don't know. The twist at the end isn't bad. It's just like, it is weird that in American movies, we're just so desensitized to violence.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, intimate family moments are fine to have while you're murdering people. Especially in the context of, like, these aren't, like, they're just killing bad guys. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think the majority of people are even aware of it.
Yeah.
Because we're so desensitized. So it's a little, that part of it, I think I'm just looking at everything through that lens now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because once you're aware of it, you can't help but notice it everywhere.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. We just like celebrate violence. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember watching this. Well, I can't. This was going to be my whole point. I've got it logged, and I vaguely remember kind of him in a suit in like a room. But the twist I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I don't think I liked it very much.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good like action thriller. It's 2016.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck gives a different performance than he normally does. Because he's like this math genius who's like on the spectrum, but he also
murders
people. So, you gotta, it's not done terribly though. I mean, it's also got John Bernthal on it. He's awesome.
Yeah. Like John Bernthal.
But yeah, I mean, if you like Ben Affleck, you'll probably like this movie. I rewatched The Exorcist, and I re-gave it a 5 out of 5, but I think I watched the theatrical version this time, and the first time I saw it, I saw like the extended cut. I think I prefer the extended cut.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was probably the second time I've watched it, so I might have to watch it a few more times, but it's a classic. Super freaky.
Yeah.
Amazing performances. Yeah.
Can't believe it's 50 years old.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of things turning 50.
I know.
Don't Look Now, that was also the same year.
Yeah. What a year for horror.
Yeah.
Someone should write a book about it. That sounded very passive aggressive. No, to my knowledge, nobody's written a book about it. They didn't pit me to the post.
Maybe you could write a book about it.
Maybe, yeah.
And then I also rewatched Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't.
It's pretty good. It's from 2010, and it's good. It's decent. I kind of want, like, they had a cool idea going. I just wanted them to kind of go a different direction with it, because it's basically like a horror trope movie about, a group of teenagers going to a cabin in the woods, and before they get to the cabin, they see these two like hillbilly guys at the gas station, and everything that the hillbillies do is like taken out of context, like they are taken the wrong way, because they're just like a couple of regular dudes, but they think that they're like killers or whatever. So everything that happens to them, they think it's like these two guys trying to kill them, right?
Yeah.
But then you see from their perspective that they're just trying to be friendly and, help them out or whatever. Like when the first girl gets hurt, they're like skinny dipping out in the lake at night, and then the two guys are over there fishing, and they see this girl like fall off a rock into the water, and then she doesn't come up, so they're like, oh, we got to go help her, and then they like pull her out of the water, and everybody else sees them pulling her out of the water, and they're like, oh my god, they murdered her. Which is great, like,
yeah.
But then the movie does this thing where it kind of flip-flops, and like one of the teenagers is like crazy and becomes a villain, and then the two hillbillies just kind of like help this one girl, and then it leads to this climax at the end where they're just fighting the bad guy. And I kind of just like want, like, to me, and it's not a bad movie, it's still a great movie to watch, but to me the more interesting idea would have been like, well, take that all of the way, like basically make a regular horror, like, because they ended up making a regular horror movie anyway with what they did with the characters, but like do it where you go all the way to the end,
Yeah.
but you just keep showing from the bad guy's perspective that people just don't understand that he's not trying to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then at the end, they kill him, and he's like, what the fuck? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I just want that idea to like go to be seen through all of the way. And it just kind of starts out with that interesting idea, and then the movie kind of completely changes.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. Still fun and funny. Comedy horror. Which is, comedy horror is kind of also what we're talking about today.
Seamless. Beautiful.
With our feature presentation. Beau is Afraid, 2023. From his darkest fears comes the greatest adventure. A paranoid man embarks on an epic odyssey to get home to his mother. Yeah, Beau is afraid. He's very, very afraid.
He is.
Lived up to the title, I think.
Yeah.
So, what were you anticipating going into this movie, and how did you feel coming out?
I think that's the thing with Ari Aster, right? You never quite know what you're going to get when you go in. I can remember going to see Hereditary in the cinema. I'd seen like the trailers and stuff, and the greatest thing about that film is that the hype had been built around something that is taken off the table at around 30-45 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to give spoilers away in case people haven't seen it. And then after that, you are left on such an uneven footing. You have no idea where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Midsommar, it took me a while to see it. I didn't kind of jump on with the hype train. Watched it kind of a lot later. I think just last year. I don't think I'm as hot on it as like everybody is. Like I enjoyed it. I think that the lead performance is really good from Florence Pugh, but not like one of the greatest films ever. You know.
Yeah.
So going into this, I didn't quite know what to expect at all. Whether it's going to be, you know, like a full-on horror or not. And I still don't know. I'm still like,
yeah,
well, you know, I think it's the first 30, 45 minutes of it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I could tell how tense I was because I was listening with my headphones on, and my dog jumped onto my bed where I was watching it, and it made me jump. I was so like tense watching it, and it was about half an hour in. But then it was very similar to like like a water hose. The longer it kept going and the more the pressure was turned up, the more wild it became and like unruly. And I think that it started to lose me a little bit.
Yeah.
What about you?
I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
Similar situation to you in that like 30 minutes in, or maybe it was like 20 minutes in, I was like,
yeah.
I noticed like that it hadn't been that long and we still had, you know, over 2 hours left.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much that's happened already, and
Yeah.
it's so intensely insane already. Like what's next? And then, so like just to skip ahead a little bit, like I think I'm going to really enjoy watching this movie a few more times because I think towards the end I really got it.
Yeah.
When he's in the house with his mother and his mother's just like scream. There's like that scene. I mean, all the scenes go on for a really long time, but you know, his mother is just like constantly saying all this stuff to him. And there's a point where she like is just screaming at him, and she points at the wall at her mother.
Yeah.
There's like this painting of her mother on the wall that is so ridiculous and hilarious that I busted out laughing. And I was just like, I mean, I had a feeling the whole movie was supposed to be kind of funny.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, oh, okay, like, I probably could be laughing at this whole thing,
Yeah.
And the movie is very unsettling in a very Ari Aster way.
Yeah.
But it's also just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And like, I'm sure that different people can relate to this movie in different ways. For me personally, like, as someone who has like struggled with anxiety and panic attacks the last few years, and actively trying to work on it and manage those things, the movie to me felt like, oh, this is like all of my intrusive thoughts. This is like this, and this is how ridiculous it is. Like, this is like someone like being like, hey, you're being ridiculous. Like, look at how ridiculous. Like, it's not that crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for people who don't know what it's like to have like a full-on panic attack, I feel like this movie, this movie is a good description of that. I don't know if that's what he was going for, but like, it's not like, I mean, there's times where your body freaks out and the response is normal.
Yeah.
Your body freaking out in like, if you have a car crash or you're in like a environment where something crazy is happening, like if someone's actually trying to murder you, or, you're in an intense situation, if you're panicking, that's kind of normal, right? Because your body knows that something is wrong.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes that will happen when you're just doing everyday stuff. You're just like going to pick up some milk at the grocery store, or whatever. You're not doing anything crazy, but your body is like, oh my God, we're jumping off a cliff right now, like, and so the movie kind of, it felt like that to me, as in terms of like, this isn't all happening around him, which it could also be representative of like schizophrenia or something, like, but to me it wasn't like this is all actually happening around him. This is just how he feels constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the movie, I don't know, it could be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but I don't know. I really feel like this is like, it felt very Kubrick to me. And the fact that this movie hasn't gotten more hype and, I don't know, done better, kind of reiterates, I don't know, like, I guess a lot of Kubrick's films were successful. Except for like the Victorian one. Gosh, why can't I remember anything today?
Barry Lyndon.
Yeah, Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I really think that this movie is going to live on for a while and kind of get bigger as it goes.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is incredible in the movie. I don't know if this would have worked with anyone else, because I feel like you could very easily get annoyed with a character like this almost. But he brings so much humanity to it. You just really want him to be okay. Yeah.
I did find him rather annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
But see, you don't like Joaquin Phoenix as much, I don't think.
No, I don't. I don't think I'm as a bigger fan of his recent work. I don't think, because I didn't really like Joker.
Yeah.
But I still find him intriguing as an actor because I still, Napoleon is like one of my most anticipated. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
There's other stuff. I maybe there is some like hostility towards him there as well in this, but like after about 2 hours, the kind of what, like, just was like, come on, like, just go with it, I don't know, get some grasp of what is happening.
Yeah.
Because it's just the soft spoken shuffling that just after a while started to kind of really grate.
Yeah.
On me.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody that needs attention. It's the cat, in case you couldn't hear. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, to me, it was... I didn't get annoyed with him because the movie was representing him as someone who had been through a lot of trauma,
Yeah.
And you can't really like blame someone for their responses to that, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, when your dad's a giant penis, you're going to be pretty messed up.
Yeah. But like, it's true. Like, but it's like it's trauma inflicted on him by his mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, the movie was. I mean, there's movies out there that are about the paranoia of parenting, and representing what parents go through trying to raise a good child and stuff.
Yeah.
This movie is not about that.
No.
This movie has no room for parents to have an excuse or to... It doesn't represent... Because I feel like I know a lot of parents like this, is what I'm saying. I feel like I've seen a lot of parenting where it's just... the parents are just so hard on their kids.
Yeah.
And it creates such paranoia in the child all the way through adulthood.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of adults with anxiety, it comes from, wanting to live up to their parents' expectation in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I went to, when I went to see a doctor a couple of years ago just for like a normal checkup, and I, was talking to him about my anxiety. He was telling me that it's a lot more common in people of color because of how hard their parents are on them, especially in America, to like succeed and like make it and stuff. I don't know. I just I really felt like this movie, as ridiculous and as like otherworldly and as it almost in some ways feels like a movie that's like Alice in Wonderland, where you follow this character into this tunnel and you're just in this other world the whole time. Even though it feels otherworldly like that, it captures a lot of truths. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that normally, as we've kind of said, my suspended my disbelief is kind of what I have an issue with. That's why Lynch is always tough for me to access, because it's so dreamlike.
Yeah.
Like, I do like narrative, but for this, it was the opposite. I feel like the more dreamlike states I was really excited by, when it's like the play and he's kind of seeing his life play out. I thought that was ingenious, and I really loved that part. I think the other bits that were kind of helping the story seemed to be just, being laid on really thick. And I think it's maybe the fact that, Midsommar and Hereditary did so well that this was like a bit of a blank check movie, and that he could do whatever he wanted, and maybe he just needs someone to be like, reining him back in a little bit and just being like, okay, what are you trying to say? Because this is a lot. And, that does work for people. I get it does, but, for me, I feel there was a lot of stuff here that was just not needed.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think this is like gonna be his Vertigo. I think this is gonna be the film that means the most to him as a director, and is probably gonna be talked about the most. Because, well, for one, I read that this was a film, like he's been wanting to make this since before Hereditary, but kind of had to build up to that point where, he could get that big check for it. And if he had done it before Hereditary, it would not have been the same. Like, he wouldn't have gotten Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, like, I think that the success of the movie has more to do with the marketing, to me, because I don't know. I feel like there's no, like, well, for one thing, like, I didn't see a trailer for this movie until like February of this year, and it came out a couple of months later. Like, there wasn't enough time to build hype around it, I think. Yeah. It seems like, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but like, I feel, I mean, you were talking about Hereditary earlier, and the way that they mislead you with the trailer of that.
Yeah.
And horror movies are in huge demand right now. There's easily a way that this film, I feel like, could have been cut into a trailer to look more like a traditional horror movie to get people in the theater.
Yeah.
And then once you got them, it's up to them what they think of it. But when this movie was out in cinemas, it seemed like it was so quick. It was like April or May of this year, June. And when I tried to look at showtimes, there was like one showtime a day or two a day, and it was only there for a couple of weeks. And it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like it was completely fumbled.
Yeah.
As far as the marketing and release of this film.
Which is surprising, because if it's A24 that are distributing it, they're normally so tight.
Yeah. Well, I think the film was supposed to come out last year, for one.
Yeah.
And then they stay longer in the editing room. So you could blame different people for that, but like, I don't know. At the end of the day, it just, I think it could just be too many cooks in the kitchen, as far as like, it gets to a point where it's delayed so long that they're just like, just release it, and then, and they've already spent so much money on it. They don't want to put extra money into the marketing, but it just seems so silly. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
To not have a grip on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But again, it's like you're dealing with massive amounts of money.
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of people have say in how, like, when it comes to that much money, like how things get released and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's my theory. It's just that the marketing was terrible. But also, it is a really long movie, and it's hard to get people to
it's
into
not
that these days. For some reason.
Definitely.
Even though they'll binge watch, 12 hours of a TV show in one sitting.
There's things definitely that I think probably didn't help. I think the portrait it paints of America is not an easy one to sit through.
Yeah.
If you're living there, or part of the kind of, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, even for you, somebody who lived in America for 10 years, Like you see, you're a hopeful person. You want to see hope in a place like this.
And there's times where this is how you imagine it to be outside the doors.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And it's all of it. He escapes, the violence when he gets hit by the truck, but he's instantly being fed pills and drugs, and he's surrounded by, murder and suicide, and it's just, it's not America as a whole does not come across very well at any point.
Yeah, but to that point, it is there's a lot of truth there, and maybe when you go outside, it's not like this every day, but there are times, like you said, where it is like that, and it does feel like that. It's not like I don't know that anybody would watch this movie and that opening sequence with all the people in the streets, see that and say nothing like that as like exists. That's completely fictional. It's like, no, there's been times where you walked down the street and you felt like that was happening all around you. Maybe not every day and right outside your apartment, but there's been times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then just the casual nature of the parents when he's you kind of it's interesting, like with Beau's mother, she's like so hard on him.
Yeah.
And you kind of see the effect that has on him as an adult. And then with the parents that he goes and stays with Nathan Lane and Amy
Ryan.
Amy Ryan, yeah. They're kind of the opposite, they're so... Well, I don't know. They do yell at their daughter a bit, like, I guess. And they're also rich, so I don't know. I was gonna say they're a lot softer on their daughter, but then when I think about it, it's like when she first comes in, they're like, "What are you doing?" And
it's just a different kind of pain being caused. It's it's kind of that survivor's thing, isn't it? It's the pretty much speaking down to her because their son died.
Yeah.
So she's not going to live up to like his memory,
Yeah.
It's a different kind of hurt, manipulation, and pain being caused.
Yeah.
But is it the different pain that we get from our parents from like a Jewish household and then, a Christian household? Are these the like parallels that we've got to draw? Is that, they look more loving on the outside. They take people in and kind of, try and heal them. But in reality, they're still messing up their kids.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because, both kids are fucked up, but in different ways.
Yeah.
Like Beau is just so passive, and sweet. He doesn't want to hurt anyone or anything.
Yeah.
And this chick is just like self-destructive, wants to inflict pain on everyone.
Yeah.
Like
just notice her. Yeah.
Yeah, like forces him to smoke the joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's another thing too, is like her parents don't notice her, and Beau's mother is just like obsessed with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing too. Is that's a different thing going on there, but I would say that the daughter is the most horrifying part of this movie to me. She is terrifying.
Yeah. One scene in particular that is horrible to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go over to their house. That's
no, definitely not. No.
But Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan are pretty great. Like when they came in, I was like, all right, cool. And Nathan Lane is hilarious. He's just like, hey, my dude. uh, um, yeah, I don't know, man. I really, there's just so much that I got out of this movie, I think, and that I'm still gonna get from it.
Hmm.
Like, I can't wait to show other people.
Yeah.
I keep asking people, like, have you watched this yet? Like,
Mm.
and it's only been a few days.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not. I don't think I'm just tapped into Ari Aster's kind of sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just not there with him
Yeah.
while this is kind of happening on screen. But I do think that the way he makes his films look gorgeous. There was times in the film when like the story was kind of grating or I wasn't that interested, but just the look of it, you know, kept me kind of watching the screen. And I think that's down to cinematographer Powell Pogorzelski. I butchered that, but he's done, you know, Beau's Afraid, Hereditary, and Midsummer. Also Nobody, which I know you watched and quite liked.
Yeah, that was the Bob Odenkirk movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's the cinematographer for that. But I think that just the way that this looks and the way the camera moves and, you know, the set designs and stuff is brill. There's no one else doing it like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a pretty movie to watch.
Yeah.
I can't find it on. There's a few Blu-rays, but I don't think they've released it on 4K yet.
No. A24 normally do their
pack. Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a rights issue. They have to let the studio release it for like a year, because that's the same with Wes Anderson and Criterion. Like the studio that funds it has to put it out, and then they get the rights to it eventually.
Sell all the digital copies, and then
yeah. So I wonder if it's something like that. We'll probably get like a very nice cloth bound
A24, yeah,
edition out pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This movie got me.
Yeah.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader,
great.
Yeah, he was. I recognized the voice, but couldn't place it until you see the back of his head. Yeah. You're like, okay, cool.
I know that. I know the back of that head.
And Parker Posey as well. I always love when she pops up. I think she was great.
What do you most know her from? Because like, I did recognize her, and I have seen a few of her the things that she is in when I was looking at her IMDb. But what do you think you know her most from?
I mean, for me, growing up in that area is Scream 3.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, she was in that. But I've seen, you know, a few other stuff that she's been in. She's worked with Woody Allen a few times, which I've seen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then You've Got Mail. She's in that as well, which Chelsea and I watch quite regularly. So, you know, there's a few that she pops up in, but I think that she was really good in this, and it's nice seeing a familiar face.
How did you feel in that scene where they're having sex? Spoilers, and this is the climax of the movie. Well, not well.
Yeah.
Yes
Choice
and no.
Words.
How did you feel in that scene? Like, because for me, it was like that. Also, was hilarious.
Yeah, I just wondered because I know that there was a lot of talk about his father dying after he was conceived, like the moment after. And I wondered that instead of him worrying that if he was to reach the same point, he would die at the same time. If the true is that they have like something that kills after, you know, like coitus. I don't know how to kind of put it into words. That instead of him dying because he ejaculates, if it's more their bloodline kills who they mate with.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the mum, you know, killed the husband, and then he like killed her. But I guess it was just
like Gone Girl style.
Yeah, but not with any ill intent. It just kind of happens. But
yeah,
I mean,
I Yeah, I guess I wasn't sure what to expect, but I definitely felt the anxiety of like, oh no, he's like about to die.
Yeah. It
And
was
then-
kind of mean because there was that point of like him being like, oh, I thought I was going to die, and you were like, oh, well, I'm glad you didn't. And then it's like, oh, great, well, she's dead. So
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also, your mother lied to you your whole life, and
yeah,
she's really fucked
your
up.
life could have been very different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a great scene to me.
yeah, it was a good scene.
The build up, the climax.
And then what did you make of the last scene? Because to me, it was just, I know that it's a very literal translation, but that with him, with his boat capsizing, that was like him kind of ending it himself. Like he was going under with all this pressure.
Yeah, I guess because that shot of him walking out to the boat, like, holy
Yeah.
shit. Like his
Yeah.
face in that
Mm.
that shot. Yeah, he's definitely snapped.
Yeah, it's like all this has just reached a point where it's the end. And he
Yeah,
knows
it's like
the
all the things that his mother's standing there, and
Yeah.
and just all the thing. It's just guilt. It's all the
Yeah.
guilt, like, and that, I guess that's the point I was trying to make. It's like some parents parent with guilt. Like
Mhm.
that's how they motivate their kid to do things, is by guilting them,
Yeah,
and it's not healthy.
it isn't.
Obviously,
No.
it's like, but so many parents do it, and it's just like, what, and maybe their parents did it to them, kind of a thing. But it's
Yeah.
just like,
Yep.
especially for, I don't know, I think some people, well, I think all humans are capable of all human emotions, but some
Yeah.
some people take that guilt and just carry it around like a huge
Yeah.
weight, and then some people go the other way with it, and they don't feel guilty about anything,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
know that it's just going to weigh them down or whatever.
Mhm.
And I think both directions you're going to end up being a bad
But
person
Yeah.
if you go the extreme of both ways. But yeah, it's just all the guilt. And then, yeah, the final scene is just him running back through his head all the things that he feels guilty about.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what it is. I think I wasn't quite sure what to make of the last scene. When the boat capsizes, it does take a really long time for the credits to start, and I was like, what's
Yeah.
happening?
Mhm.
That was the only part of the movie where I was like, okay,
Yeah. Hello.
hello. What's next? And then the credits started, and I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. But like, it took you a minute.
Yeah. Every time he got on the phone, I knew that we were in for like 10 minutes of like just the most plodding film. It was like every time he got on the phone, I was like, oh, come on. Like, let's just keep this moving. Because it
Yeah.
always came at like a time of, high stakes. And then it would just slow everything right down again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, to me, and I know it's not fair to kind of put it in the same bracket as films like this, but when you watch films like Seven Samurai that are long, it feels like every moment in that film is earned, and it like is a necessary for the plot. Whereas this, I thought there was times when I was like, this could just be so much time. This could, like, let's get moving. Come on, let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was just generally my impatient, with the film as a whole kind of coming through
Yeah.
and just wanting it to, get, hurry up a little bit and get to the end. But yeah, I just thought that there was a bit, we could have used an editor.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
2 hours in, still had an hour left. I was getting a little sleepy, and I was like, maybe I'll
Yeah.
turn this off and finish it tomorrow. And then I ended up finishing it.
Hmm.
And Yeah, so I think it was kind of opposite for me. I enjoyed all of it and was intrigued. It's just
Cool.
like sucked in.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
yeah, I mean, I think you're probably not alone though. You know, I think there's you know, plenty of people out there that this movie didn't quite land with.
Yeah.
So
I still think Hereditary is his best.
yeah.
For me.
Did you watch the director's cut of Midsummer or the theatrical?
Maybe the theatrical. I'm not sure now. It was the one that was on a streaming service.
Yeah, I watched.
So probably.
I mean, I watched it in cinemas. I haven't rewatched
Yeah.
it since
Yeah.
it's been out. So I don't think I've watched the director's cut, but I do want to watch it and see if it's different or what I think about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess what we each rated the film?
Yeah,
on
I do.
Letterboxd.
I do think that this will be one of the more diverse ratings. Normally, we're pretty close.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that you rated this 4.5.
I'm gonna say you rated it 3.
I rated it 2.5.
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty low.
Yeah.
For you, I think. But I don't know. Maybe you'll change your mind later.
Yeah. Maybe.
But that just happens sometimes. Like you don't click
it
with
just
every
didn't...
kind of film or every kind of filmmaker.
That's it. And I was kind of not. I don't want to say I was beating myself up about it, but I was a bit like, should I be liking this? And I was like, well, I didn't. I don't know why I'm.
Yeah, you like what you like.
Yeah, and like I said, the first half an hour, 45 minutes did really work, and it's really beautiful to look at. But I just wasn't entertained by it.
Yeah.
You know, and then when it ended, I was kind of like, oh, I'm glad it's done.
Yeah.
Which I shouldn't feel like, you know, but that's just, hey, every person has different experiences. So what did you rate it?
I did rate it 4.5.
Okay, cool.
I think it'll probably go up to 5.
Yeah.
On the next few watches.
Sweet.
But yeah, man, I liked it. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Letterboxd, get on it, people.
Yeah. Let us know if I want to know if people are as diverse as us, whether it is kind of down the middle, or whether anyone that listens to Film Church is siding with one of us in particular. Because I think they're probably more likely to side with you.
Well, I know my cousin is.
Yeah, because Ari Aster is definitely a poster boy of like the film bros in the best possible way. I'm not saying that. That sounded like it was a bad thing, you know, but like the new kind of A24 inspired like dedication to film.
Yeah,
you know, Ari Aster is kind of the focal figure of that movement, I would say.
What is the kid's name? We need to talk about him for a second, because that is not de-aged Joaquin Phoenix.
No, it isn't.
It's an
Armin
actual...
Nahapetian?
Armin Nahapetian?
Yeah, I think so.
Teen Beau. That sounds like a magazine.
I can remember that, there was a big thing, like, when he started doing press for it, and people were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I honestly thought this was like, you know, computer generated.
Yeah.
But it isn't.
So when I get on Letterboxd, I look at some reviews. Silent Dawn gave it 2.5, just like you. Yeah. Randall Patty gave it 2.5, who I worked with at Alamo Drafthouse.
Oh, cool.
Mitch, friend of the show, gave it 4.
Cool.
Said I'm going to be one of those weirdos who says this is Ari Aster's best film. a rich and psychological epic overflowing with symbolism that will take some time to fully process. Yeah, Mitch, that's right. But I mean, you know, the average rating is 3.5, so I think it's kind of split.
Yeah.
Jesus Motor Ape said self-indulgent wank. 2 stars.
Oh dear.
Drew Phillips 09, 5 stars. So my grandpa ate half a quart of paint today, thinking it was yogurt. It's like, is that true or is that a joke? Because
I really hope it's a joke.
yeah,
God, I hope it's a joke.
maybe he lost his taste buds from COVID.
Maybe. Remember when that was everywhere?
COVID?
Still
Yeah.
is.
It sucked.
Just don't talk about it anymore.
Ugh.
Anyway,
So yeah, next week,
100
freaking
episodes.
episode 100, dude.
I know. Here we are.
What are we doing?
Well, it's going to be classed as my pick, but it's kind of something that we both decided on. And let's face it, if there was a film that I was going to pick for our 100th, it's pretty likely to be this. To finish off our month of horror and to celebrate 100 episodes, we are going to be watching Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 horror classic that pretty much welcomed in the slasher genre.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's great. Definitely watch it. Come and listen to us talk about it. Celebrate our birthday or our 100th episode birthday.
2 years.
We'll be here talking about it. You should too.
Join us next week. But that brings us to the end of the show. And of course, you can find us on all the social medias at Film Church Radio, or you can follow us individually on our letterboxes. I'm at Selmascope and Lewis is at Walker Lewis 3007. There you can keep up with what we've been watching on a daily basis. We also have all of our back episodes streaming on Barbie's Back and all good podcast platforms. So please leave us a rating and review so we know if you liked the film. And if you didn't, tell us why and what you would want us to watch in the future. You can also send us questions.
Film-related questions.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to know about Psycho next week? Anything you want us to talk about? Send it in. Thank you for being here, and we hope to see you next Sunday for more Film Church Radio. The only thing left to say is... I accidentally drank mouthwash Friday night. You can't get stomach cancer that way?
Not from one time.
I drank a mouthful a couple of weeks ago, too.
I'm sure it's fine.
Amen.
Amen.